So today I want to talk about DarkFall, Rise of Agon. It's a sandbox MMO. It's one massive server. There's no instances. It's full and partial loot in different areas. It's got siege warfare. It's got massive battles. It's both first and third person. You've got guilds. You've got housing. You've got villages, holdings, dungeons, dragons, PvP, crafting, exploring, ship combat, and much more. So the way you're going to get the game is you're going to go to either riseofagon.com, or I'll have a referral link down below if you want to sign up that way. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to click sign up, or you can use that referral link like I said. You're going to create an account. And then what you're going to do after you've created an account, you're going to go to download and click download. And remember, this is free to play with a premium option. But free to play is perfectly fine. Also, if you want, you can join the Discord, the Rise of Agon Discord. And what you're going to want to do is, after you've logged in, you'll see up at the top right here, you'll get patching. And the game's going to patch and finish. It might take a little while, but once you're done, you'll have your character here. This button right here, whenever the server's online, it'll be green. And whenever the server's offline, it'll be red. You're going to click play. So they also have racial perks. I'm not going to go too deep into it. Just know that every class and race, well, there's no classes, but every race is viable. The race we're going to pick today is going to be Mahirim. So they're basically like massive, tall wolves. They are the tallest race in DarkFall. They also, in turn, have the biggest hitbox. The big advantage, though, of having being taller is you have a longer melee reach. So keep that in mind whenever you're picking your character. And again, they're all viable. It's mostly preference, but there are unique things to them where players might prefer one race to another. When you first log into the game, you're going to have a tutorial here on the right side. We're basically going to go through this initial tutorial, which is this page on the right side. It's going to tell you to WASD is to move. It's going to tell you to sprint. Also wants us to eat some food. And crouch by C. Space is jump. K is rest. Resting will regenerate health, stamina, and mana. You just get up with WASD. So escape is your user interface. You can see all your buttons here. P is for PaperDoll, for armor and whatnot. B is for backpack. In your backpack, it wants us to equip a leaf blade. You just left click on the leaf blade there. It's that melee weapon. Press escape again to get out of your GUI mode. And now you can just equip your weapon by left clicking. And then you can swing with left click. And to parry, you're gonna right click. Just hold right click to parry. Caps lock, gonna bring out your staff. So by default, the spells, the transfer spells, conversion spells are 1, 2, and 3. Basically, transfer spells transfer between stats. So you have stamina to health, health to mana, and mana to stamina. And these take, let's say stamina to health. It takes away stamina and provides health at a more positive ratio. So right now it wants us to go and find the Councillor. Basically that's an NPC that you can talk to. So we're going to walk over there and do that. Here he is. You're going to press F, which is the use key. That'll talk to him. You're going to go to quest. So you can accept a quest here. We'll accept the Goblin kill quest. Just double click it. Click accept. And you're done with that. Don't have to worry about all these quests, really. Now press M for map. And that's going to be the end of this short tutorial here that the game gives you. All right, so I'm going to explain a little bit of more of a tutorial here. So you had the basic tutorial that the game gives you. Now I'm going to go through and kind of expand upon that. So essentially, you do have the sprint key, which is by default shift. We're actually going to go ahead and change that. In DarkFall, pretty much all the time you want to be auto sprinting, right? So we're going to click escape, and we're going to quickly go into our input bindings. Now, you can expand all menus in this game. Well, almost all menus in this game are modular, so you can expand them, make them bigger. So that's something to keep in mind. We're going to scroll down, and we're going to look for toggle auto sprint. So we're going to double click this. We're actually going to assign it to page down. Now you can use numlock. I don't have a numpad, but you can use numlock and some other key that really you're only going to press once when you log in, and then you're just going to forget about it. So I'm going to do the same thing with toggle auto run. I'm going to set that to page up. Normally people would set it to numlock. If you have a numpad, you can do that. You can set these to whatever you would like. Just put them on keys that you're not going to press very often, that are farther away, and you don't have to worry too much about that. Now that you're done with that, click apply, and you're going to close out of that. So now, anytime you log into the game, you want to go ahead and click that toggle sprint key, and then you're good. Now, the next thing is the B key, right? And that's going to be your backpack. So with the backpack, this is where all the items are going to go that you pull from your bank and whatnot. You can expand the bag on the corners here. You can make this as large or small as you want. There is also a weight system in the game. Whenever you're overweight, you will be very, very slow moving. So keep that in mind. You don't really want to go overweight too often or whatnot. So here's your bag. You can move items around by left clicking and dragging. Now I also want to talk about the loot bag. So there's a spot here on your PaperDoll. You press P for PaperDoll, like the tutorial showed us. Now you want to drag this bag here. You want to put it in the loot bag. And what that's going to do is anytime you kill a mob and you're looting their items that they drop, it'll automatically go in this loot bag for you. You want to be sure you have a loot bag on you, and it's in this slot here. One other thing I want to talk about is the use key. So we already learned that F is use, and also G is alternate use. With the F key, when you go up to any nodes, whether it be rocks, iron nodes, trees, bushes, you're actually able to press the F key, and it'll automatically bring out the necessary tool. So for instance, this is a rock, so it pulls out my pickaxe. And then all you have to do is left click and hold for a second and let go. And now you're automatically mining. So now I'm getting stone. Same thing with trees. I can walk up to a tree. It's going to pull out the necessary tool for a tree. So I press F. It's going to put away my... Oh, this is not a mineable tree, actually. This one is, though. And then I got my axe out, and now I'm chopping the tree. And here's an iron node. So we can... do the same with that. And there's also some bushes around here, which we can do as well. So we pull out our scythe, and now we're harvesting bushes. So that's one use of the use key. And there's other uses for the use key, mainly to interact with NPCs, to interact with gravestones, which is how you're going to get your loot from mobs. Things like that. Let's get inside the main city, Sanguine. This is where everybody spawns in. It's called a capital city. So there's 6 total capital cities, and this is where everybody spawns in the human lands capital city called Sanguine. So what we're going to do is we're going to press escape. And the first thing that you want to look at is you want to go up to, let me turn this down just a little bit more. You want to go up to the top left. And we're just going to quickly go through all of these buttons here. The The first one is just your PaperDoll. It's also has a few other options here, and we'll talk more about the PaperDoll in a minute. But we just want to go through and see what all these buttons do. You got the backpack, you have the crafting menu, you've got your skills, which is mostly your weapon skills and crafting skills and whatnot. You've got your spells, and all these are module, so you can drag these down and make them bigger so you can see. You've also got your journal, which the journal has quite a few other options in here that we'll talk about, mainly the friends, meditation points, which we'll get to, and the rest you don't have to worry too much about, but you can explore that. You've also got your task here, which is essentially your automatic quests that you have all of these quests. There's many pages of these quests, and you're going to automatically complete these as you play the game, and we'll talk more about this here in a minute. Just going to quickly go through the rest of these. We've got clans. You can browse clans, you can apply to clans, join clans, all that good stuff. You've got the conquest, which is for sieges. It's basically clan versus clan, taking over cities, that kind of thing. You've also got the world map. You've also have the mini-map here in the top right. On the mini-map, you have the BindStone recall and capital recall. Basically, it works like a Hearthstone in WoW. You press it, and you will start to cast. It's a long cast, and you will teleport to wherever you are binded. So bindstones are across the map, mainly in cities, and you bind to those bindstones and then use this button to recall. Capital recall works like a bindstone recall. It just will automatically teleport you back to Sanguine. This one has a 2-hour cooldown. We also have your stat bar. So this is going to be your health, your stamina, your mana, and also your alignment. This bar as well, you can actually expand, which we're going to make this a bit bigger. And kind of move it around, center it maybe here, get it a little bit more out of the way for the time being. And you can place that wherever you would like. We have the chat. So here in the chat, you have different chat boxes. You have, usually you have public as well, but basically you've got global, you got recruit, trade, that kind of thing. So the other thing you have, we'll move this up a little bit so we can see our other box. Our other box is going to be system chat, which will tell you everything that happens in the game as far as taking damage, dealing damage, retrieving items, gaining skills, all that good stuff. You have a new player tab here for you for whenever you need help and you want to ask some questions. The community is very friendly and will answer your questions. And also, if you a little bit more with the chat, just while we're on it, if you want to actually link something in the chat, you can actually hold and drag and pull this onto the chat bar here in the bottom left of the box. That'll link an item. And a way to whisper somebody is to do /tell and type their name. And then a little bit easier way to whisper somebody is if you see their name, you can right click their name and hit whisper. And to remove the tab, you can just right click and do close tab. Now we're going to move on from the chat, and we're going to go to the hotbar. So here's the hotbar. Now you're going to use these little arrows here to expand and collapse the hotbar. You have all of these buttons and columns and rows to assign skills and spells to. So by default, they have quite a few bindings that they've already set. You can go with those for now if you would like. Personally, I'm probably going to remove all of these bindings so I can have a clean slate. That way we can kind of start fresh, and as we go we can assign buttons to whatever we would like, and we'll do that here in a minute. I just want to show you the hotbar for now. You can use these little arrows to collapse it. I did want to mention too, there's the compass as well here. But what we want to do is we want to open up our PaperDoll. And our PaperDoll, we want to talk a little bit about what all this is and does. So you've got your main items here. So this is going to be your armor. You have slots for clothing, jewelry. You'll also be able to make a mount. And this is where your mount figurine will go. And you also have your currently equipped weapons. Right now I have a tool. You have arrows. And then you have your loot bag, like we talked about before. And then you've also got your weapon bar. And you're also going to see your stats. These are your main stats that will level over time as you play, as you cast spells and take damage and do melee attacks. These will level, and crafting will level some of these, and all these stats over time will level. I won't go too in depth with them, but you can hover over and see exactly what they do and contribute to. And then you have your armor penalties with encumbrance. Again, you can hover over to get a better understanding of what this does and is. You've got your protections, melee, magic protections, things like that. Your armor will give you those protections. But anyways, I don't want to talk too much about that. We mainly want to get to the weapon bar. So what you want to do is you want to bring up your backpack. The first bindings you want to do is your weapon bar, and that's going to be 4 weapons. You start the game with some starter weapons, and those will never drop off your character. So you've got your two-handed sword here. You've got your one-handed sword and shield. And then you also have your starter bow. And you also have your starter staff. So those are going to be the 4 weapons we put onto these weapon bars for now. So what you want to do is, after you've pulled out your backpack, you want to drag this onto one of your weapon bar slots. And you want to click this gear. Now what this is it's a place to bind your weapon. You can set your binding here. But the big main thing you want to utilize here is called Enable Auto-Equip. Now you can hover over and read this, but I'll explain it as we go. So I'm going to check this box here. And it's going to go ahead and give you just about the most ideal situation right here. I'll explain this. It's basically the first thing you want to have from top to bottom in this list is you want to have something that says only these weapon types. And you can have the one like this one that says in this order. So basically what's going to happen is when you press your binding for your two-hander, and we'll go ahead and set that now. I'm going to set mine to mouse wheel down, because for me that works well. So you also have these filters here you can do. We're not going to worry too much about those right now. This default setting is good. And basically from top to bottom, you want to have the top one always be something that says only these weapon types. So it's either this one or this one. And then the next one is kind of preference. Right now I have highest damage. So that's the one I want to do. Now let's say you want to use two-handed axes instead. Well, this is the ordering from left to right of which type of weapon it's going to pull out first. So right now it's at swords. And we only have a starter two-handed sword. So we're going to keep it at swords. But if you wanted to do axes, you can move axes over. And then you can move the sword back if you want to do swords, or have any order that you want. And you can mess around with this and move it around. Let's say you pull off a weapon. Oopsie. Well, no problem. You can right click in this box and we can go ahead and put knives back on there. So that's going to be it for this. There's also a tab here for presets that you can look into as well. So we've got our two-handed sword and we've got it binded in our weapon slot. And you know what? Let's go ahead and try this out. So let's get rid of those windows. And now I'm going to press mouse wheel down and it's going to pull out my two-handed sword. So that's pretty cool. Now, if we were to have a better two-handed sword that we looted off of a body, all we would have to do is mouse wheel down and it would pull out that new and better, higher damage sword. So it automatically filters and gives you the highest damage, best sword that's in your bag currently. So we're going to go back to the weapon bar and we're going to go ahead and do the rest of these in a similar fashion. I'm going to go ahead and put my staff on here. Click the gear. Enable auto-equip. This is good for now. We're probably going to switch this here in a little while, but for now, this is good. We're going to go ahead and set our binding. I'm going to go mouse wheel up. There we go. Easy as that. We can close that out, and now that's ready to go. Now we want to drag our bow and arrow here and click the gear. Enable auto-equip. And looky there, it's all good for us. We can do that. And I'm actually going to do shift, mouse wheel up. That's what I'm going to do for that binding. You can choose your own bindings here. This is all preference. I'm just going to pick the bindings I normally go with. So I'm going to go ahead and drag my leaf blade over into the next weapon bar slot and then drag my shield. It will stack on top. So it's going to both pull out my shield and my one-handed sword at the same time with this one button press. Now, I'm going to go ahead and check enable auto-equip. And right here, it's got my one-handed sword first. That's looking good. So this is all fine and dandy. Let's go ahead and set our bind. I'm going to do shift mouse wheel down for this one. So now that we've got our weapon bars set up, I think we're ready to move on from this. So the weapon bars is a very cool feature. It's going to pull out the best weapon that you currently have in your bag, and you can mess with it. You can do highest speed, highest damage, and you can prioritize any of those that you would like. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my hotbar again, just to we're going to kind of grab a skill that actually isn't on here yet. So this skill is for your mount. Now we haven't made the mount yet, but let's go ahead and grab the skill. I'm going to bring up my skills tab here. And you're going to want to go to general. You're going to want to scroll down here. There's going to be summon mounts. So the way to put skills onto your bar is you go and find it either in your skill or your spells book. And I went to my skills. And I grabbed my summon mount. So I'm going to click and drag it. And you know what? We're going to put it here. Now, we don't need our weapons on our bar anymore. Remember, we have our weapon skill slot. So you can just drag these off, let them go, and that'll get rid of those. We needed to drag our mount, summon mount on there. Oh, we forgot to drag this off. There we go. Now we can summon our mount. Okay, perfect. Now, this is jumping a little bit ahead, but because we don't have our mount yet, we're going to take a little detour and go to the crafting skill. So you're going to want to come up here, click crafting, and to make a mount, you're going to want to go to taming. And we're actually already in taming, so you're going to want to come up here in the top left and click this plus. And since we're a Mahirim, we can make bears, some Triblin bears. Takes one seed grass, and we're given two at the beginning of the game. So you can actually craft pretty much anywhere. Some things need to be crafted at like workbenches, crafting stations. So, but here we're just going to click create. It's going to queue up our craft. We're just going to wait for that to be done. All right, there we go. So now we should have a mount, but wait, where is our mount? I don't see it. Well, it's actually on our PaperDoll. So if you click P, your mount is actually going to be up here in your PaperDoll. So basically the reason for this is because of the loot system. So I'll explain a little bit about where you drop all your loot, or if you drop all your loot, or those zones later. But for now, just know that here's your mount if you ever need to find it. It's going to be up here in your figurine on your PaperDoll. Now, that's why we assign summon mount to a button, because when we press summon mount, right? So I think it's on this mouse button. It's actually the way we have it right now. It's just on mouse right click. We're going to change that in a minute. But here's our bear. Nobody can take our bear at the moment. So the way that you hop on your mount is you press F, your use key. Now you're on a bear. Your bear's got a health bar. We're going to move this over here. Going to make this a little bit smaller. And we're going to put it to the side here. So now we got a bear. We run a bit faster on our mounts. We use less stamina, but it's pretty cool. So now we're going to press F, look down at our bear and press F. We're going to hop off our mount. Now we're going to use our alternate use key, which is G by default. We're going to go ahead and put away our mounts. And our mount will go back into our PaperDoll here in our slot right here. That's neat. So one other binding I want to talk about quickly is unequipping and equipping weapons. So we binded all of our weapons, but how do we pull it out, right? So that's going to be T. It's by default, it's T. Typically, I like to rebind this key. So right now, we're going to rebind T, and we're going to rebind our mount skill, just for the time being, because we want to like kind of ease into the binding. So for this binding, we're actually going to have to go to the options, the little gear here, input bindings. We want to look for something that's called toggle unsheath object. That's going to pull our weapon out and put our weapon away. So I'm going to rebind that to R. This is totally preference. Pick whatever key you would like. You can follow along with my keys, or you can choose your own. You can change this at any time. So just click apply, close this out, and now we can unequip and equip our weapon. And now we've got our staff assigned, so we can pull out our staff, we can pull out our bow, we can pull out our sword, and we can pull out our shield and one-handed sword. So we've got all that set up. We're good to go there. We're going to go down and we've got first of all, the journal system. Now, these are called tasks. A lot of people call them quest. I like to call them quest, task, quest. But this is going to bring up your taskbar. You click J, and you've got a show and tracker here, which is going to show your quest tracker over here. You can move this around wherever you like. I'm going to put it right there. That's good. And you have all these quests. We went through it a little bit, but now we're going to go through it a little bit more. So you've got all these quests here, and they have different stages, right? So here's going to be your target. This is basically going to tell you what to kill, what to do, what to accomplish. There's a little bit more description here. Once you kill 10 goblins, so it's going to upgrade this to stage 2. And then it's probably going to tell you to kill 20 goblins or maybe 30 goblins. And then when you kill 30 goblins, it'll upgrade to stage 3. And then it might say kill 100 goblins. And when you complete killing 10 goblins, then you're going to get this reward right here. These rewards, any rewards are going to go to your bank automatically. And it's going to complete the task automatically. So you're not going to have to go turn it in. Nothing like that. You'll actually get some messages that pop up whenever you complete a task. And that'll tell you, hey, good job, you completed that task. So you're going to want to go check your bank for these items. And also meditation we'll talk about a little bit later, but you'll get meditation points. And the other thing I want to mention here is if you want your quests to appear in the tracker, you're going to want to click this checkbox here. Show in tracker. Another thing too, let's say I want to track all the goblin quests, right? So you can actually type in goblins, right? And so now here's all these goblin quests. These are ghouls, but you got some goblins. These are just anything to do with goblins. So goblin marauder, hobgoblins, so things like that. So you might want to do this one as well. So let's track that. And so you'll get some gold and some items. And the different stage quests will give you better and more stuff as you complete each stage. So this is about it for the task. There are some dailies, and there are tons and tons of tasks, a bunch of repeatables that have timers, all that good stuff. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, we already can see it, it's the item bar. Now, this is kind of a unique thing. What you can do with this item bar is you can actually move it around, you can change opacities on stuff, everything like that. Everything has opacities, by the way. I kind of forgot to mention that. But you can move all this UI around. You can change opacities to it. It's all fairly modular. And what you're going to want to do with this item bar is you're going to want to press B. And if you don't see the item bar, press I to show and hide the item bar. If you don't see it on your screen, just press I a few times. It should pop up. Now, you're going to want to bring up your backpack. And basically, what I like to do is I like to put my reagents and my gold on my item bar. This item bar is basically going to track the amount of items. Let's give that a go. So I'm going to drag on Mandrake. That's going to be one of your first reagents you've got here. I'll explain a little bit more about reagents. Let's just go ahead and put these on the bar here. I'm just going to drag and drop each one. I think kind of go through each one. I think we've got some ash here as well. So these are going to be your 6 reagents. These are going to be used to cast spells. But for now, you're not actually going to use any of these reagents. But you will be using them very, very soon. So it's good to go ahead and get these on your item bar. Now, I also like to put my gold on there. So let's put that on there. So when you're farming mobs, you can see if you've got how much reagents you've got, how much gold you have. You can also put things like food on here, or maybe potions if you want to keep track of how many potions you have. Maybe you're farming, wood. You might want to have wood on there to be able to see how much wood you've got. So this is the item bar. You can actually make this. Have more slots, and I'll quickly show you how to do that. I'm gonna want to go to the gear. And I believe here it is. So you want to go to GUI options. You're going to want to scroll all the way down. There's an item counter slots. This will give you more and more and more item counter slots. You can have as many or as few as you want. I actually like the 7 it gives you. And I might add a few more later. I'm going to move this back over here, off to the side of my screen. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. You can make this horizontal too, by the way. So one of the buttons you want to know about, which you might accidentally press from time to time, is H. Now what H is going to do is it's actually going to swap your weapon swing style. So there's 2 weapon swing styles. You've got the normal attack, which is a cleaving attack in front of you, about 180 degrees in front of you. This is also a skill shot. You have to aim your melee. And if you press H, it's going to do an overhead attack, because there is friendly fire in this game. So you don't want to hit your friends. So you might want to use H from time to time, mainly in group fights and stuff like that. But for the most part, you don't have to worry about H too much. If you accidentally press it, just press H and that'll get you back to your normal attack. The other button I want to tell you about is rest. We already learned about rest. It's automatically K. And we have a little bit of stamina missing, and that's going to regen our stamina. So you just sit down. It regens all stats for free. You just sit there. There you go. That's rest. Not much to it. And now we want to talk about the map. So there's a lot to the map. You're going to click M to bring up your map. Press escape. That way you can move it around. You can also make it smaller or bigger. And there's a few buttons on here you want to know about. So over on the left side, You've got your zoom in, zoom out. You can mouse wheel up and down to zoom in and out. And there's also this button here, which if you click it, it'll actually center on your character. Let's say you're zoomed in over here and you're like, I don't even know where I am. You can click this button and it will lock onto your guy and center around your character. So that's a very useful button. And then what we want to do is we want to click this gear here. Now, this is basically an interactive map. So there's a couple things that we want to know about and do here. Now, we want to kill goblins, right? So I'm going to show you how to find goblins, because that's a pretty common question. How do I find the goblins? I have a goblin task. It's on my tracker. How do I find them? Well, what you got to do is click very easy, because they're a very easy starter mob. Now, you're not going to see them yet. Like, why don't I see them? Well, there's this monster range slider. So as you slide this monster range, zoom out a little bit. As you slide this, it's going to show all of the very easy mobs out from your position. So it expands out, 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 out. You can keep it on max. That's what most people do. But just know that this slider is a thing. And that's why you maybe can't see the mobs. So we're going to have that set. And now you've got all these different mobs, but where are the goblins? Well, there's Sarnax, there's skeleton archers. You know, maybe you don't see the goblins or you're searching for a specific mob. Well, now that you have these two selected, right, you've got your very easy, you've got maxed out slider, you can actually type in goblins, right? And now all we see is goblins. Okay, cool. So now I know where the goblins are. Perfect. So that's going to be my first mob I'm going to want to kill. So that's why I'm searching up goblins. I'm trying to find them. And that's how you're going to do it. So there's also some other buttons here that I'll quickly talk about, but you can kind of mess with these a little bit more. We're going to go ahead and remove the monster types for the moment so we can see a bit better, and remove all these so we can see exactly what we're looking at. So if you click portals, these are wilderness portals. Basically, you go into a wilderness portal and it's gonna teleport you out to the other side. It actually tells you where it's gonna go. It's a general area that it drops you in. You don't have to worry too much about that right now. Dungeons, you go into dungeons are non-instance based. So basically the entire map is one server. And when you go into a dungeon, you do teleport down into the dungeon. But let's say you go into the dungeon and Bob, he comes through and also goes into the dungeon. Well, guess what? You're in the dungeon now together. There is no instances. There's just the one instance. So that's how dungeons work. There's plenty of dungeons. You'll see the icons. You've got faction cities, which are going to be your NPC towns. They're basically where you can bind at, where you can live out of, where banks are, NPCs, and whatnot. So in the capital cities, so each of the 6 race lands have capital cities, right? So this is the human lands, the orc lands, the dwarf lands, the Mahirim lands, the elf lands, and the Alfar lands. So they each have a capital city that we'll talk about in a minute. You've got the clan cities. So these are going to be your guild and clan cities that people can go and they can claim and they can take over the cities from other clans. You've got cities and hamlets. So cities are the bigger cities and hamlets are going to be those smaller towns. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about these for the moment. Rune glyphs, I'm not going to talk about right now, and we'll look into that a little bit later. And then we got villages. So villages are where houses are going to be. So there's a housing system, and you can own a house, and you can also recall to your house as well, kind of like the BindStone recall we talked about. You'll have a separate house recall. Now, villages have a timer, and they can be taken over and captured, basically, for resources. So every time the timer comes up, like this one's about to come up in 35 minutes. So you can go there, and it's kind of like a domination game. There's 3 points, and you take over the points, and you gain points. And when you hit 1200, you get the resources from that village. And that's how those work. And you can get a house, and you can have a, basically it's like a little mini local bank in your house, a little safe that you can store items in. Now, banking in general is global, but for houses, it's local. So that means it's only there. You won't be able to see it anywhere else other than in that specific safe. Now, the last thing I want to talk about on the map is tile rating. Now, what is this? What am I looking at? So I'm going to close this gear. Basically, there's 3 areas on the map. So the whole map is broken up into these tiles, and all of the red is lawless zones. So all this red here, this donut, and the center of the donut here is also red. And basically, what lawless means is you can attack anybody at any time, anywhere in this game, but in the lawless zones, you don't lose alignment for attacking players. So that's one thing with lawless. And also in lawless zones, it's full loot. You drop everything in your bag, everything on your character, and everything on your PaperDoll, and everything in your bag. So you drop literally everything on you in the red zones. Now, in the yellow zones, these are lawful areas. So in the yellow zones, you drop everything in your bag, and you don't drop anything on your PaperDoll. So I'll kind of quickly show you what that might look like. So we'll bring up our PaperDoll and our bag. So if I was in a yellow zone, I would drop everything in my bag, but I would not drop anything on this right here, this PaperDoll. So your currently equipped weapon, your arrows, your gear, and your mount. So as long as this is in your PaperDoll, whatever gear and weapon you have, if you die, you won't drop any of this. But if you die, you will drop anything in your bag right here, your backpack. Now your loot bag is also isn't part of your PaperDoll. This row right here is not part of your PaperDoll. It's actually just your currently equipped weapon, so they will be able to loot your loot bag, whatever's in there, and your backpack. Now if we go back to the map, that's the lawful areas. Now in lawful areas, the alignment system works a little bit differently. So the alignment system is down here. This is your alignment bar. And basically, blue characters, you start off blue, are lawful characters. So what that means is basically you can live out of any of the NPC cities that we showed earlier. And we can actually bring those back up. So you can live out of any of these cities. And these cities have towers that will automatically zap players that are criminals, right? If they're red, they're criminals. And if you're a criminal, you don't get to live out of these cities here on the map that are showing right now. So you don't get to live out of them. You can obviously still be in these areas, just not inside these cities. So that's one benefit of being a lawful player. There's a few more benefits of it. And basically these lawful areas, let's say you're a blue player and you attack another blue player in a lawful area. Well, guess what? If you kill them, you lose alignment, right? Because you're in a lawful area. So losing alignment could potentially make you go red. And now you're a criminal, so you don't get to live in these cities, right? So alignment gains naturally, slowly over time, but also there are chaos cities where you can go and pray for gold, 2,000 gold, I believe, and that will increase your alignment and get you on your way back to being a lawful player. Now, there's one other zone here that is the blue zones. So the blue zones, is basically you don't drop anything. You don't drop your bag, and you don't drop your PaperDoll items. You literally don't drop any items when you die in the blue zone. So this is basically the safe zone. And as long as you're in here, then you don't drop any items. Now, there is some exceptions to these zones. So if you're a criminal, a red player, then you drop all of your items everywhere on the map. Doesn't matter if you're in a blue zone or a yellow zone or a red zone. Now, there is another third alignment, and it's a temporary alignment. And basically, let's say you're a blue player, a lawful player, and you're in this lawful zone, and maybe you venture into the red zone. Well, you're going to gain a temporary alignment, which is rogue. And that's basically, it'll be gray here on your bar. And what that is essentially you're temporarily attackable, right? So because this is a lawless zone, players aren't going to lose alignment by killing you in a lawless zone because there's no laws. So let's say you're a blue player, you venture into the red zone, now you're rogue, so you're attackable without alignment loss. Now, another blue player could come into the zone, and you two could fight and kill each other, and neither of you would lose alignment because you're in a lawless zone. And you're freely able to without alignment loss. So same goes with the red player. They could kill you and not lose alignment. And that's basically what rogue is. So now let's say you're in the red zone as a blue player, you're rogue, and you go back into the lawful zone. Well, it's going to take a certain amount of time. I'm not sure the exact amount of time, but let's just say a few minutes for you to go back to being blue. Because the game, you can't just automatically hop over into the lawful zone and instantly become blue. You're going to have that temporarily rogue alignment for the time being. So let's say you're running away from a player out of the red zone into the yellow zone, and they're chasing you, and they hit you in the lawful zone while you're rogue. It's going to continue that rogue timer if you take damage. So you have to like fully get away. And the rogue status, let's say you run into this lawful zone as rogue, and you end up dying in the lawful zone. Well, hey, I should keep my items, right? No, you actually don't. You do lose all your items because you're technically rogue, which is essentially a temporary criminal status, you could say. So that's kind of how the different zones and alignments work generally. There can be some more nuance there, but generally that's how it works. And again, you can be killed anywhere in this entire game. Just because there's lawful zones or blue zones does not mean that you can't be attacked. People can still attack and kill you, but they might pay the price alignment-wise. You might not lose, all your items, or you might lose some of your items, right? Like we talked about, depending on the zone. But again, you can be attacked anywhere and killed anywhere in this game. So nowhere is safe in DarkFall, so keep that in mind. So there's one other thing I want to talk about that I forgot to mention with the map. Let's say we want to go kill some goblins, which we are soon about to do. Trust me, we're getting there. We're getting there. We have a few more things to get through before we get to the goblins. But let's say we want to go kill some goblins. Well, we see the goblin spawns. We might want to search for goblins again, right? Let's say we want to go to this goblin spawn. Well, I'm going to hover over the mob spawn. Oh, it's actually... Okay. Well, let me check something. So, usually... Okay, it's not... Oh, there it goes. So usually when you hover over a mob spawn, you're going to get a list like this. You're going to get the mob spawn amount. So it's going to have the name Greater Bellow, and there's 2 of them. So there's going to be 2 of those mobs. And it's going to give you the common loot. Now there's more loot than just what's listed, but this is just a common loot that is going to drop regularly. Now the rare loot, they don't tell you. You're going to have to farm the mob and find out for yourself, or get information from other players, Discord, online, that kind of thing. You'll have to kind of figure that out as you go. But the common loot, obviously, you can see and find. It's not going to tell you how much, but it's going to give you a good idea on what loot you're looking for and what mobs drop what loot. Now, one other thing you want to keep in mind is you can check, let's say we check all of these boxes for the moment. And let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to find hearts for crafting, right? Maybe I need hearts for some reason, right? So what mobs drop hearts? You can actually type in heart. So whatever loot you're looking for, you type it in. You got to be sure it's accurate. Sometimes you have to type it in without spaces, that kind of thing. So I'm going to hover over. And where is heart? Heart. Centaur hearts. There we go. Cool. Okay. Now there's different kinds of hearts, but you get my point. You can type in what the loot you're looking for, and you can see what mobs drop that loot that you're looking for. That's another cool feature about the map. So we've pretty well gone over all the map stuff. Again, you can make stuff transparent, smaller, that kind of thing. I like to do a little transparency on stuff. So maybe we do that. We'll go ahead and uncheck these. We don't need those right now. Maybe we'll check our faction city so we know where to go. We want to go home or go to a city. We're going to go ahead and type in Goblin again and have that ready for later. So we're going to exit out on our map. We see all these players. They're gathering around stuff right here in the city. And they're all gathered around this thing over here. Let's go check that out. Now, I'm going to be sure we're sprinting there. And we're going to try to make our way here through. Maybe not get trapped. So this is the bank. It's a massive square, shiny vault, basically. They're pretty easy to spot once you know what it is. We're going to let that guy get out of the way there. So you just walk up, target it, and press F. That's going to put away your item or your weapon. Now you got your bank here in the left, bottom left corner. I'm actually going to expand on this, make this bigger, just like that. Perfect. Very nice, very nice. And you can adjust it however you want. Maybe I'll make it a bit bigger. There we go. Cool. Now you're going to want to press B on your bag. And the way to put items into your bank is you just click the item and drag it in. There we go. Cool. So we're actually going to put away some of this stuff. We don't really need our seed grass right now. We've already got a mount. If we need seed grass, let's get some later. We're going to go ahead and drag our money in, right? So you actually have your money down here, which is your stash. And you have your money down here, which is your stash. Whenever you pull coins, gold coins, into your bank, they go into your stash. Now what this is doing is basically, I can go to an NPC and buy an item, and it'll automatically buy from my stash. That way I don't have to pull out the gold and know how much gold I need to buy items. I'll just purchase it with my stash money. That's pretty neat. Now if you do want coins, let's say you want to trade somebody, or you just want to have some coins on you. There you go. Click that withdrawal button there with whatever amount you need, and you got yourself your coins. I'm gonna go and put those back now. So another thing I want to talk about, I can't quite show it here yet, but you've got this whole dragging into the bank, and that's really nice. But let's say you have 10 of these wood axes. Well, if I had all 10 of them here, I could hold down Shift and drag and drop, and it would actually populate them all in a row. So that way I can move them all with one drag and drop. Now you also can do Alt, drag, and drop. And we'll show this a little bit better whenever we get some more of the same items once we start farming. So right now we've got our weight, we've got our backpack, we've got our bank. Everything's starting to come together. Now there are a few other tabs here in the bank you might want to be aware of. You've got your items. This is individual items. You've got, right now I've got 2,000 individual items. You might start with 750 potentially. But we'll talk about that later. There is a premium feature that'll give you more items here in your bank. But for now, this is just a number that you might want to keep track of if you're getting a lot of items. We also have consumables, right? So let's say I pull in my potions here, my health, my mana, my stamina potions. All of a sudden we're going to see we've got our potions on the consumable tab. So if you have your bank very messy or disorganized, or you can put bags in your bank, and you can organize your bank with bags and stuff like that. You can go to your consumables, and you can actually place, consumables in here as well if you want to do it like that. And it'll just kind of randomly throw them around your bank. And we'll talk a little bit about organizing in a moment. But right now, we're just looking at some of these tabs. You can shift drag, and then it'll split your items here, and you can just take out one potion, that kind of thing. Same with same within bags and banks. You can shift, click, drag, and release a singular item, and then you can split the quantity that way. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and put away some of this stuff. I guess we'll go ahead and keep the reagents. It's not really a big deal if we have these on us right at the moment or not. But we're gonna go ahead and put away some of this other stuff. We don't really need these materials on us right now. We're going to keep our tools. Maybe we want to do some harvesting. So this is our bank. There's one other thing about the bank. So you walk up to it and you press F to use, but you can also do the alternate use button, which is G. Now, right now, we're not in a guild, so we're not going to see the guild bank. But you would see a couple tabs here that has the guild banks if you were in a guild. Guild banks are shared between the guild. They can toss items in, and other guild members can take items out. That's a nice way to pool your resources or to trade between the guild, that kind of thing. So we can zoom in on this mini-map, zoom out. We're going to zoom in a bit, and we're actually going to look for someone called the Merchant. There's the Merchant. We're going to run over here to the Merchant. I want to show you one other thing very quickly. I'm going to walk up to the Merchant, and these are NPCs. And you can buy and sell goods at them. They also have some quests. I wouldn't worry about that too much. And you also have starting weapons. So if you have a starting weapon that you might want to switch out, let's say, I don't really want, my two-handed sword or my bow or something like that. You can get knives and polearms and axes and hammers and different things like that you might want to try out some different weapons that way. You also have the barber shop as well. And really what we're here for, though, is we want to buy a container. So I want to buy another bag. And I'll show you why I want to do this. Well, I want to purchase a bag. It's going to take from my stash, and it's going to put it into my backpack. So now I have another bag. Cool. Now this bag is actually not modular, so it's got a certain size to it, right? Now your backpack is special, right? It's got its own thing. So you can make this, bigger, smaller. You can move it around. You can change the opacity, all that good stuff, just like normal. We're going to come back to our bank. And I just wanted to show you a few things with the bags that I like to do. By no means do you have to organize your bank like this. Or we're going to drag our bag in, click rename, and let's just say we're going to call it mats because a lot of these are mats. We got our mats bag. Now we can just drag these items into our mats bag, just clicking and releasing. And you can do this with from your backpack into these, straight into these bags as well. You can also do the shift and the alt drag into these bags if you have multiple items that you want to go in here of the same item. That's pretty cool. So now we got a mats bag. Our bank's a little bit more organized. And now we know where all of our mats are, right? And that's like wood and stone and cotton and all that stuff. So cool. That's something you can do. You can buy a bunch of bags. You can make bags. Eventually, I'll have some more bags here. But for now, we're done with our bank and our bags. Now, over here, everybody's standing around this. What is this? So there's actually a global auction house in the game. So you walk up to this market teller. You look at her. You press your use key. You've got the auction house. I'm not going to go too in detail with the auction house right now. Just know that it's a thing. You can sell, buy items. You can search up items. You can create sale and buy orders. Very cool. We are pretty close to actually going and fighting some mobs and getting started in the world. All right. So we have our weapons down. We can pull out our weapons. We can pull out our GUI and all of the different buttons that we need to navigate the UI and what they do and all of that good stuff. So there's 5 more bindings that I want us to set up because they're very important and we want to get those set up on hotkeys that we prefer. All right. So we're going to click escape and we're going to go over here to our hotbar. We're going to go ahead and expand our hotbar, right? So there are bindings that they've already set for us. I don't want to use these bindings. So what you could do this a few different ways. I'm going to show you both ways, but we're going to go ahead and right click one of these hotbar items. So we'll just take this top left one. It's mana to stamina. We're going to go ahead and click this. We're going to right click it on the icon and it's going to bring up this gear. We're going to click that gear. And what that gear does is it brings up different kind of different things that we can mess with. It's basically going to allow you to set the binding here. So I could set this to, I don't know. We could set this to 2. Let's just do it for 2, right? Okay, cool. That's how you can set a binding on this hotbar, and now it's changed to 2. Okay, cool. Now, there's a couple other options you want to look at here. You've got cycle, and you've got first available. So let's say we open up our spells, and we've got lesser magic. Well, we've got all these spells so far, right? Now, we're currently looking at mana to stamina. Let's say we also want stamina to health on this same button, right? So now they're both on 2. Well, cycle is going to cycle between the 2. So you'll press 2 once, and it'll bring up the first ability, mana to stamina, and you'll hit 2 again, and that'll bring up your stamina to health. So let's see what that's like. So we're going to bring out our staff. We're going to click 2. Oh. It's set on auto cast currently, but let's turn that off for the moment. You click 2, and over on the left side, you're going to see it's going to continually swap between mana to stamina, stamina to health. So it's cycling between those 2. Okay, cool. So now we know what that does. We're going to go back into the gear and look at this again. So we know what cycle does. First available, essentially whichever one is on cooldown, it'll pick the number 1 slot, and then it won't let you cycle to the next one. But if your number 1 is on cooldown, it will, if you press the button again, it'll automatically go to the next one. So that's first available. Whichever one is first available off cooldown. And these rows, as you stack more and more spells on them, first available, it's gonna prioritize from left to right. So when you press the button, it's gonna click, or when you click the binding for this button, it's gonna bring up the far left one first. It's gonna use that ability first. So I do like AutoCast, and what AutoCast is, is basically you press 2 and it automatically starts casting that spell. Now normally, without autocast, you press 2 and then you have to left click. So you press the spell binding and then you left click to cast the spell. Now, for a lot of these abilities we're about to talk about, I actually do want autocasting on. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and go through and get rid of all of these bindings because we don't want to use any of these. I mean, you might want to go ahead and keep them and get used to those, or find your own bindings that you want to use. But I'm mainly going to be talking about 5 bindings. But currently, we're going to have to go through and remove all of these bindings because we're going to start fresh. So there's 2 ways to do it. We already know about the gear method, right? So you could swap bindings here, but I actually want to get rid of all these. There's another way you can do bindings. And you're going to go into this gear here, and you're going to click Input Bindings. And then you're going to go to GUI, right? So there's all of these bindings we have. You have all the columns and rows. This is a bit confusing. We're only doing this just to get rid of the bindings, right? So there's nothing on the column 0. We're going to go to 1. And right now, all I'm going to do is just go through. And we're going to just press 1 on all of these that have bindings. And we're just going to get rid of these. This is just so we can get rid of all of the bindings on the hotbar, so that way we're clear and free to set our own bindings. And we click apply. There we go. All right, so we've got all that cleared up, and now we're ready to actually set our own bindings. So we kept F1 through 5. That's not too bad. We're almost done. So what we're gonna do is I'm actually going to pull these all off the bar, and there's not really any rhyme or reason, but I'm just showing that you can delete these off your bar by just dragging and dropping. And you can move these around as well. And also, you can't stack the spells on the hotbar itself like this. You actually have to go into your spells, and let's say I wanted to stack these 2 spells. You'd have to pull from your spell list onto the one you want to stack it, and then to the right you drop it, and it creates another one, and you can keep stacking each individual one. Now let's say I have a bunch stacked. Now, do I have to redo it? No, you can just move it, and then when you right click, look, your stack is still there. And then you could click your binding, you could set your binding. Doesn't really matter where you put the spells. You're just going to set all of them to different bindings anyways. So you can make it look clean and neat. It could be all disorganized. It doesn't really matter. So I like to maybe have a column of heals. Even though they're going to have way different bindings, maybe it'll look clean like that. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of all these just to get some practice with, you know, setting bindings and stuff. So for now, that's good. We're going to keep summon mount there. And we're going to set up our spells. So what do we want? So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab heal self. I'm going to put that all the way over here. You can put this wherever you want. You could put it here. You could put it here. I'm going to use this bar a little bit later. So for now, I'm going to keep these 1 through 0, right? And you can't actually right click the hotbar, the singular hotbar, and get the gear. You do need a spell or a skill in there, and that way you can bind this bar or this hotbar slot. I'm gonna actually put this back to 1 because we used 1 to clear all those bindings, and we do want that key there. So I'm gonna put my heals all the way over here, just so we can see them all on this kind of bar here. Maybe it'll look clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through and put all of the 5 spells that we're gonna need on our hotbar. And these honestly are gonna be your most important spells for a very, very long time. Now, we want to put stamina to health. We want to put mana to stamina. We want to put health to mana. And then we also want to put mana missile. Okay, cool. So those are the 5 spells we really care about right now. You don't really need to care about any of these others at the moment. Just know that they're there. You can see the magic levels to unlock it. We'll get into that a little bit later. But for now, we got our 5 important spells. Now, these are all going to be casted with your staff. We've already got our staff button set up, so we're ready to go on that. So I'm going to click Heal Self, click the gear, and there's a few things I want to change here. So Heal Self, I'm going to set this bind. I've got 2 side mouse buttons. It's where my thumb is. Most mouse do. You can set this to whatever you would like. I would recommend these 5 buttons be something very convenient for you to press. You're going to be pressing them a lot, and you want them to be very convenient. So my recommendation is find what buttons work best for you. Go ahead and assign them to those buttons. Give them a try. See if that feels good for you. And it's not too big of a deal to change. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine to Shift, Mouse Button, the bottom side mouse button. There's 2. I've got a bottom and a top. So mine is Shift button 3, right, on my mouse. And another thing I want to do here as well is I actually want to click Autocast. So for my heal and my conversions, I personally want them on Autocast, and I would suggest that you do the same. It's not a requirement. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to put them on Autocast. What that does is when I pressed Shift mouse button, it's going to automatically start healing me. I don't have to left click. I just click that binding and it starts to cast, and then we're done. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up my other conversions. This is going to be basically my heal. Stamina to health at a positive ratio. So I'm going to click Autocast. I'm going to click Set Binding. And I'm going to do that same mouse button, but without the shift. So just mouse button 3. Very cool. Going to right-click the mana to stamina, gear, Autocast, Set Binding. I'm going to do the top side mouse button. That's button 4 for me on the mouse. And we did Autocast. Okay. Right click, gear, and by now you kind of understand what we're doing. I'm going to click bind, shift, mouse button 4. That's going to be shift side top mouse button. Just to give you a clear explanation of where those are at, for me at least. You can put those on anything you want. Any binding is a good binding in this game, whatever you prefer. So just keep that in mind. You do not have to use my bindings. It's just an example and a way for you to understand. Now, Mana Missile. We're going to right-click Gear. We're not going to auto-cast Mana Missile because we might want to select it but not cast it right away, right? We want to be sure we're ready and we're aiming. We don't want it to auto-cast because it has... Whenever auto-cast is on, the spell will automatically go off. You're not able to click and hold and release whenever you want to cast it. And I'll give you an example. So we're going to put it on Q. We're not going to click AutoCast. Now, Mana Missile. This is your basic spell. It's your starter spell. Now, I'm going to click Q. So I'm going to get rid of all the UI, press Escape. And then I'm going to pull my staff out. So for me, it's mouse wheel up. I'm going to click Q, and we got Mana Missile. So now we can hold left click, and then when we release left click, it'll shoot the Mana Missile. It's a little tiny AoE. Look at that. Very cool, very fun. Now, everything in this game is physics-based, so the magic's going to go wherever I aim. It's going to travel. It's going to interact with and hit the ground and do a little AoE. And the spells are going to grow in size as they level up. So keep that in mind. So they're going to get more powerful. They're going to do more damage. they're going to grow in size. The AoE is going to be bigger. And for heals, you know, it's going to do more healing. Conversions, it's going to transfer more of the stats at a more positive ratio, etc. You kind of get the idea there. So we are almost done, right? All right, so the next thing we want to do is we actually want to start playing the game. I know it was a lot, but I wanted to walk you through all of the steps, all of the UI, so that you're not missing anything whenever you start the game. It can be a lot, and there's a lot of things, and you don't know where to go or what to click or what to do. So I hope this explained a lot of the beginning stuff, and now you're well on your way to actually start playing the game. And that's what we're very soon going to do, all right? So now we've got our bindings down that we need. We know what our bag and our stats, and we basically have a little bit better grasp on the game. So here in Sanguine, this is the human capital city, right? We've already talked about this a little bit. But here at the back of Sanguine, right here on the map, the bank's over here that we were at. If you go behind the bank, there is 5 portals that will take you to the other capital cities. And the reason why you might want to come back here and take a portal, there's a ton of people playing the game right now. So these first few spawns are very contested. There are tons of people playing. So they're swamped with people. So what I'm going to do, since I'm a Mahirim, we're actually going to go to the Wolflands, the Mahirim lands. So that's going to be over here. And it's called Red Moon. Okay, so we're going to go teleport to Red Moon. Now, one thing to keep in mind before we go is we have our BindStone recall, and we're currently bound to Sanguine. And the way to know that is you've got this little blue circle with a blue dot. That means you're bound there. That's where the BindStone is. And that's, if you recall, you will teleport to that BindStone, which is right there for us. Now, you also have Capital Recall. That's going to take you back to your capital city. It's got a 2-hour cooldown. Currently, Sanguine is everyone's capital city. So it's going to take us back to Sanguine. So we can come back here if we want, and we probably will want to come back to Sanguine because everybody's here and it'll be fun. So you're going to walk up to this portal. I'm going to Red Moon as a Mahirim. You can go to whichever capital city you would like. They're all very cool, unique lands with different mobs, different environments. We're going to go ahead and walk up to it, click the use key, and here we go. We are going to teleport to Red Moon, and we're going to start leveling our character and start killing some goblins. All right. So now that we're here in the Mahirim lands, we are here at Red Moon, just outside Red Moon. So obviously the terrain looks a lot different, right? It's kind of more fall, a little bit more shades of brown, and obviously we got some pretty cool wolf statues, all that stuff. Here's the BindStone, right? So we're still technically binded at Sanguine, right? So we actually want to be binded here. So we're going to walk up to this BindStone, and we're going to hold F, and a little circle is going to pop up. And now it says, you're now bound to the capital city BindStone of Red Moon. Cool. Now, I didn't even really think about it, but we might actually be capital binded here. But we'll figure that out a little bit later if we are. It's not a huge deal. We can always ride back to Sanguine later. We don't really need to even come back to Sanguine if we don't want to. But we've got the bank. We've got the auction house again. There's all the other stuff that was in Sanguine is also here. So we're going to go to our map. We're going to click our little icon here. It'll center us on our character. And we're going to look for goblin spawns. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave this map up, click the gear, make sure it's centered. We're going to uncheck goblin. We don't really need to just see goblins. And now we're going to leave this map up for now for you guys. Maybe we'll decrease the opacity a little bit. And there we go. Now remember, we have our mounts, but we've removed our mount key. Let's go ahead and get that back quickly. Skills, general, Summon mount. We're going to put that on 0. We don't have to use that button too often. And there's our mounts. We press F. We're on our mount. And now we're on our way. So we're going to go kill some goblins. Now, when you get off your mount, you got to look at it. And then you got to press the alternate use key. It'll put it away back into your PaperDoll. Now we're ready. So I recommend, you know, pulling out your sword. And we're going to run over here and see if we can kill some goblins. There's only one other person here, so that's good. We got these little goblins here. And remember, you have to aim everything. So I just missed. Now I'm hitting them. We're just going to attack these goblins. Everything in this game, as you fight, as you swing your sword skill is going to level up. As you shoot a spell, that spell is going to level up when you hit the mob. So now you press F on these gravestone, and you can also open up your backpack, but remember, it's going to go into your loot bag. So you're just going to left click, and it's going to loot each item that you left click. And then when you're done, it's going to automatically pull you out of the bag, and the gravestone is going to disappear. And when you kill a mob, the grave lasts for 10 minutes. So it's going to have a little timer on it. See, it says 8 minutes on this one. If I walk up to it, okay, I can loot this one. Now, you can't like steal other people's loot, but they probably loot it. See how there's a little circle with a no hand? It means that this is their loot, right? So I got to kill my own. Now this one, they probably looted some, or maybe, you know, maybe they didn't loot everything. So now we get to loot it. So we're going to loot this. Cool. You're going to notice your health's going to go down, your stamina's going to go down with running, and swinging uses stamina. Even casting spells will use stamina. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our staff, we're going to equip it, and we're going to try out our conversions, right? So we know that we've got our heal, our stamina to health we have on one of our mouse buttons. So we're going to click that. And as you can see, it takes stamina away, but it gives us health. And it's going to give you more health than the stamina it took. And now maybe we want some stamina. So we're going to press that conversion. Mana to stamina. Oh, now we got a mob on us. So we're going to pull out our sword. We're going to start swinging at him. Look at that. We completed a task. Nice. So it gave us some items, but where are those items? Well, any task completed actually goes to your bank. So keep that in mind. The items aren't gone. You do have those items. They're just going to be in your bank. That way they're nice and safe. So when you complete a task, you get the rewards. You don't have to worry about somebody killing you and taking those task rewards. Now, we're going to pop some conversions. We're going to heal ourselves up a little bit. Make sure we're full. You just kind of want to get used to pulling out your staff, pulling out your weapon. Your heal, it just goes on a cooldown. So we'll go ahead and pop heal and see what that's like. Okay, we're healing ourselves. It's a pretty long cast, but it takes just a little bit of mana to give us a lot of health. Now, we're just kind of going to wait around for these mobs to spawn. And we're just going to keep killing them. This is a little loot chest. Nice. We got some more tools. Now, you can double jump. It's, you kind of want to, like, get used to it. You kind of want to jump a little bit later after the first jump. And you can't just spam it. So you can't just get a double jump right away again. It doesn't really work very well. So you can mess with that. You just have that by default. Now, we did have some food, but we did pull it off of our bar. So we have some food here, berry oatmeal. So I think I want to put this on my bar, right? So right now we have this bar selected. We don't really need this bar selected. I'd actually like to select this first bar so we can use the bindings 1 through 0. So I'm actually going to click this little arrow here, and this circle selects the hotbar that we have targeted. Now, there's a binding for this. I believe it's control 1 through 0, has all of these hotbars you can swap to, and you can change that binding as well. But for now, We want this on 1 through 5, and we're going to go ahead and drag our food onto 5, because I kind of want it there for now. And now I'm going to eat my food by pressing 5. It's going to give me a nourishment buff, and that's going to basically give us extra stamina, health, and mana regen. All of our stats are going to now regen passively a little bit, and it's very helpful when you're fighting mobs. Basically, anytime you're fighting, you kind of want to have a food buff up. It's not mandatory, but it is nice. And we see that our greatswords reached a new skill level. So you can see the skill over here. If you look, it'll say great skill level 1 now. Greatsword skill level 1. So that's one place you can kind of see the skill level. But if you want to check out exactly where you're at, you can click skills, weapon skills, and then you can go to greatsword skills. Now this will show you 1 through 5. So these skills will level up as you use them. And currently we're at 1 of 5. This blue is how far we are from level 2. We're going to close that. We're going to go ahead and kill this here goblin. Alright. Click F and then, okay. Now, we don't need to bring up our backpack or anything. We're just going to go ahead and click these. It looks like we got some armor. Interesting. Now, one other thing I haven't talked about that I found out recently is it can be kind of a long process to go to your PaperDoll and go to your loot bag and then be like, well, look at this armor and stuff we've got. We might want to put this on, right? Well, it takes a while to get to your loot bag, but there's a hotkey for your bag. So you're like, well, I don't want to go to my PaperDoll and into the loot bag, and then, you know, I can see these items. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drag my loot bag onto my hotbar. So you can put items onto your hotbar and bags. So I'm going to right click the gear, and I'm going to set this loot bag to in because it's next to B, and that's another bag that we want to open. So let's do that. Now I can get to my loot bag a little bit easier. Just be aware that it does bring you to the UI hub type deal, so you'll need to press escape to get back. So keep that in mind. It's not as like convenient as the bag, but just remember that is what's, you know, you might have to press escape. So I want to put on this here gear. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to double click on a piece of gear. And here's another piece of gear. I've got a chest and some pants and a helmet. So there we go. Now it's going to go to my PaperDoll. And you can hover over these to see their protections and their durability and all of that. For now, I would just put it on. You can also equip your arrows by left-clicking. So now we've got some arrows. So whenever you get new skills and weapons, new skills and abilities and spells, they will automatically be given to you, right? And so you're going to need to go into your spell book, and you're going to need to see what they are. I mean, you don't have to use them right away or anything, but this is where they will be as you level up your magics. So the same thing with skills. So I don't think we have any weapon skills yet, but we're going to get close, and then we might want to use these weapon skills. Now, I kind of want to start leveling some of my lesser magic. So I'm going to hit these guys with Mana Missile, right? So I just aim and hit them. My lesser magic is leveling up. The whole school of lesser magic's leveling up. And my Mana Missile leveled up. So the spell school levels up that you're using, and the individual spell levels up. The spell school levels up from 1 to 100, and you unlock new abilities that way. And the individual spell goes from 1 to 5. So right now we got level 1 Mana Missile. Now, I can actually hit these with the AoE of the Mana Missile, not the direct hit. That'll still give me skill gains. But I'm just going to sit here and hit these goblins with some Mana Missile. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We're getting some bows and some one-handed swords, it looks like. Now, we have our starter bow, right? And we also have this bow, this other bow we've gotten, right? So, if you remember, on our PaperDoll, we had this bow hotkey, right? Well, whenever we pull out a bow now, this isn't our starter bow. This is our starter bow. We got a better bow, but because of the weapon bar hotkey and the way it works, our better bow is automatically equipped. So I didn't have to, you know, go into my bag and try to get this bow out. I just automatically have this bow now. And whenever I press the bow hotkey, it brings out this better bow. That's pretty neat. So as you get better gear, those weapon bar slots, they automatically update the weapon. So I can shoot some arrows. We got some arrows going. We got some spells. Just killing some goblins. Just leveling up. This game is nice because stuff just levels as you use it. So whatever you feel like leveling, just do more of that. So I'm going to level some more magic. And what I will say is the best way to level magics is you kind of want to use damage spells. And you want to hit the mobs. Because you can just spam a lot of these damage spells over and over. And that's going to be the quickest way to get spells. Now, we see that we unlocked greater magic, right? So that's pretty important. And there's something I want to talk about after we kill these mobs with greater magic. I'm just going to loot all these. Also keep in mind, let's say I'm getting attacked and I can't loot the rest of these. Well, now the gravestone only has 30 seconds left. Uh-oh. You got to be a little bit careful when you loot. Make sure that you have plenty of time to fully loot everything. If you press F again, it's going to reset to 30 seconds, right? So all you've got to do is just click it again to reset the timer of the 30 seconds. But be careful when you're looting. You want to be sure you're kind of safe when you're looting and the mobs aren't just wailing on you. All right, so we're going to go to our spells, and we unlocked greater magic. Okay, cool. Now, you click the little plus to expand. Now, we unlocked greater magic because we leveled our lesser magic, I believe, to 50, right? So our lesser magic's already leveling up pretty quick, right? It's already 61. We've also gained some spells here, right? We've got Eldritch Sphere. This is basically a better version of Mana Missile. It's your next, higher damage spell. Cool. Okay, so we might want to use that. We also have a new spell called Rend in Greater Magic. Now, when you hover over these spells, whether it's in the spell list or in the hotbar slots here, like I could hover over these, it's going to have boxes in a column to the right side of this box. I'm going to hover over Rend, and there's a little bone there that says 1. Now, we got some reagents at the beginning of the game, and everything past lesser magic requires reagents. So this spell, Rend, requires 1 bone. And we have some bone. We've got 25 bone. So this is why you want to have your reagents on your item bar, because you're going to cast spells, they're going to use these reagents, and as they get low, this number will turn red, like, oh no, you're about to run out of this reagent. And then it'll hit 0, and then you won't be able to cast Rend anymore when you have no bone. So keep that in mind. You want to have the reagents required to cast your spells, and maybe if you cast a lot of one spell, you might want to have more of that reagent. And you're going to be able to hover over these spells and see which reagents they cost as you get them, and so on. So right now, we do want to use Rend, but we maybe don't want to use too much of it. We still want to level our lesser magic a little bit. as well. We want to get that to 100. So instead of Mana Missile, it's been fun. I like Mana Missile. It's iconic. But let's try Eldritch Sphere. Now, I can hover over Mana Missile with Eldritch Sphere selected, and I'm going to put it in this box. Now, this means that it'll cycle between these two spells. But I want to use Eldritch Sphere, so I'm actually going to move it to the front of the stack. So this is going to be the first thing it selects. We might still want to use Mana Missile, but probably not. We'll keep it there for now. If you don't want to use Mana Missile anymore, which I really don't, so you can just pull it off the bar like that. And now it won't cycle through Mana Missile. Cool. So we have our Greater spell. We also have Beacon. Don't worry about that. You can mess around with it if you want, but I wouldn't worry about it. And you also have Heal Mounts. Well, we got Heal Mounts, and it does what it says. It heals your mount. So I'm just going to put it on this bar. It's on 4. You can put this wherever. This one is not super imperative. You're going to want to use it whenever your mount takes some damage. And we don't need it for now, but we're just going to put it on there for later. Now, this bag is starting to get pretty messy, and we can't expand it or anything, this loot bag. What we can do is we can alt drag the shields, the bows, the swords. You know, any of these items we've got duplicates of, we can alt drag them around, and it'll perfectly pixel stack them on top of each other. All of the same item types. Now we can see a little bit better. It doesn't look like we have a staff yet. That's okay. All right. We've got some gold in there and all that. All right. Let's kill some more goblins. We do need to kill more goblins for our task as well, and we can pull that up. Looks like we're going to get some gold if we kill some more goblins. Pretty cool. We'll also get some more meditation points. And I guess I will quickly talk about meditation as well. Now, this will probably be one of the last things we talk about as far as the basics go. We got meditation. Now, we're completing these tasks, and we're getting meditation, right? So here's the meditation tab, and I'll just quickly walk through again how we got here. So you go to Journal. It's this quill up top. And then right here is meditation. And this is going to be your meditation page, right? So right now, this is where our currently selected skill or spell or skill, let's see, stat, skill, or spell is going to be currently meditating. So we're looking around, you know, really I don't need to meditate anything this early. But let's say I wanted to meditate, I don't know, maybe stamina to health is always good. So just as an example, you're going to click this checkbox on whatever you want to meditate, and it's going to give you a natural over time skill gain. It's very slow, but it also works offline, and you can only meditate one thing at a time. So I'm going to check stamina to health. I'm going to click enable, and I'm going to click save changes. Click OK. Make sure that you click enable meditation, or it will not start to meditate. And make sure you do save changes, or it will not start. Now it's selected. You've got a little progress bar. And also, it shows you a little bit more detail, 1 to 100 instead of 1 to 5. So you can see a little bit better of your progress bar here. And it's going to show your gold. It's going to show your meditation points, which I've got 2,000 because I completed a task. Now, right down here, it's going to say how many meditation points to get it to the max. So I need 11,000 to get it to max. And also it's going to tell me how long it's going to take to get to max, which is going to be 2 days and 2 hours and 53 minutes. And you can see the different milestones that you might want to keep track of. You can also meditate specific spell schools in their entirety. So let's see here. Oh, here's Greater Magic. So I could check the entire spell school of Greater Magic, and I could level that up with meditation if I wanted. But for now, this is good. You've got your meditation points. You can also buy meditation points. Let's say I want to buy 10 more meditation points. It'll cost 10 gold and take it from my bank. I click buy, I click OK. There we go. All right, cool. So for now, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to save my meditation points, but I would recommend just using them. But for the time being, let's just exit that out. And now we're going to kill more goblins. And our goal right now is just to get used to our bindings and cast some more spells. And we've got this Eldritch Sphere now that we can cast. We also set up Rend as well, didn't we? We forgot to bind it. So we're going to right click it, click the gear, and I'm going to set it up to E. So Rend is going to be my E key. I'm not going to do auto cast or anything like that. It's going to be normal. Now, sometimes if you collapse this, it's going to keep this like this. Just press that X button there. Uh-oh. Got some goblins on me. Now then, so what I did, just to walk you through it, I wanted to be sure it worked first, but I went to my Sword+Board, and there's something called Parrying in this game, and it's basically blocking. Now, blocking will reduce any damage type, whether it be a sword swing, whether it be a bow or a magic spell. It'll block quite a bit, maybe 90%. I don't know the exact percent, but it's quite significant. It'll block a majority of that attack. Now, it does cost stamina. It slowly will drain your stamina as you're blocking. But it's a very, very crucial part of the game. And you want to be sure you have a pretty good grasp on blocking. Now, it's not the most important thing early on, but it can definitely save you even against mobs. And in general, you want to have a button for blocking. As you can actually block with a two-hander, you'll get this little dink sound. You'll take a lot less damage. But even better is to pull out your Sword+Board. So we'll pull out our Sword+Board with our normal binding, and now we can block. And look, we're only taking 2 damage. We're not taking hardly any damage now. So that's very cool. And there's a few ways you could set up your blocking. So right now I just have it on a single hotkey, right? Middle mouse click. You could put it on right click. You could put it on V. It starts on V, but you could put it on whatever key you want. Something convenient, something easy to press. And another way to do it is you can press P, and then you can go to this little cog wheel on your weapon bar under Sword+Board. I'm going to click this. I'm going to click on auto parry, and then I'm going to set it to my parry key. If you can, you want to block with your Sword+Board, because your shield blocks way more damage than just your normal weapons, like your other melee weapons. So I'm actually going to set it to parry, which is mouse wheel click in for me. And then make sure you have auto parry on. And basically what this does is, as long as you're holding down your parry button, then it'll automatically pull out your Sword+Board, and it will parry. So I'm still holding down my mouse wheel in button right now, and I'm still parrying. Now I can let go of it. I still got my Sword+Board out. Now you can switch to your other weapon. But now, when you want to parry, you quickly can parry with your Sword+Board, quickly swap between your weapons very easily. And no matter what you're doing, when you click parry, now you're blocking. So that's a pretty nice way to set up your blocking, because then you're blocking with your Sword+Board no matter what. So I think I'm going to keep it like that. Okay, one other thing I wanted to mention now that we have greater magic, and this is probably the last thing that I want to mention when it comes to the very, very basics of the game. And this is a question that gets asked all the time. So what is it? Well, you cannot gain spell skills with a starter staff other than in the lesser magic school. So we have this starter staff, but we don't have a normal staff. We just have the starter staff. And like I said, if you go to spells, you'll only gain skills with the starter staff in lesser magic. So we got Rend, but when we cast Rend, we don't get any skill gains. We've already casted Rend, but there's no skill gains. So we need to get another staff. Now, in between kills, or maybe in between every few attacks, you might want to cast a conversion or a heal. That way, you keep your stats up. If you run out of stamina, you will start to walk, and you won't be able to hardly move or sprint or anything around. And you won't be able to attack, so stamina is important. Obviously, if you lose health, and you lose enough health, then you will actually fall to the ground and you'll die. Now, you'll go into a down state first, and you'll have a bar that goes across your screen, and you'll sit there on the ground, and somebody could come by and res you. Somebody could come by and gank you, so if somebody killed you, they could finish you off. So keep that in mind, and then when you die, you will, once you're fully dead, you'll teleport back to the wherever your BindStone's at. You'll teleport back there. You'll drop all your gear, but in this zone, we won't drop our gear, so we don't have to worry about it too much right now. But keep that in mind. And also, when you drop your gear and you die, you can run back to your body, and that gravestone for your body, your player body, it won't disappear unless the server restarts. So you have plenty of time to get back to your body and get your gear. Now, as you get more items, your weight's going to go up. Now, if your weight hits max or goes over, you can still carry more and more and more weight. There's not really a limit, but you're going to be incredibly slow. The moment you go over 350, you're going to be super duper slow, and it's very dangerous because the mobs will still attack you. You can drag items off your bar to delete them, or to drop them, excuse me. There's a bin over here to delete items permanently. You can drop items onto the ground, like so. And if you stare at it, you can see it's a pickaxe. So I can pick that back up. And we see we got a shaman here. Oh, a shaman dropped a staff. Now, this is the first staff we've gotten. We have the starter staff, but now we have a goblin staff. So we don't have to equip the goblin staff. We have a staff button. So when we go to pull out our staff, it should pull out the goblin staff, but the reason it isn't, and now we got to kind of change something here, is because technically the starter staff is a faster cast speed than this goblin staff. And if we go to the staff on the PaperDoll, click the gear, well, under Auto-Equip, we have highest speed selected over damage. So the starter staff is a faster speed. So to kind of remedy the situation for now, we're actually going to put highest damage first. And so I'm just clicking and dragging, and this is the stack, top to bottom is the priority. And then we'll remove all this. And now, if we pull out our staff again, guess what? We have a goblin staff. So technically, we have our goblin staff equipped now. We didn't have to equip it or anything like that. Once we get it, now we can use it. And it's that simple. Alright, so we got some melee skills that we've unlocked. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come up to the skills tab. And you're going to want to go down to weapons. And then you're going to want to go to Great Swords, and you've got 4 Great Sword abilities unlocked right now. And there actually is a 5th one that will unlock a little bit later here soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our hotbar, and what you can do is you can actually stack melee abilities and spell abilities together on the same button, and they will not conflict. So we're going to put this disabling blow on our Q. So you drag it, hover over, and then you'll put it on the same hotbar slot right here. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to also be on Q. So now when I press Q with my sword out, it selects disabling greatsword, or disabling blow greatsword. So what that does is there's a couple different disabling abilities. So disabling blow greatsword is a melee ability that disables the ability to parry. So I hit him with my fist. Now normally against a player, it'll show kind of a red aura around their hand. Or excuse me, not red, it's a purple aura around their hand. And that basically indicates that they are disabled and they cannot parry. So you can use this ability pretty often. It does have a cooldown, as you can see. It's got a decent little cooldown there. But it's on the same button as our Eldritch Sphere, which was our Mana Missile button, but now it's our Eldritch Sphere. So we can cast the Eldritch Sphere, we can swap to our sword, and use that same key binding to do Disabling Blow. So that way you can save up some bindings, and you can kind of stack melee and spell bindings on the same one, and you'll get some extra room there for your bindings, and make things a little bit more simple. Now here in the skills, you will find some other skills like your crafting levels, and this is where your harvesting levels will be as well. Your harvesting can level up, your crafting levels up, all of it levels up to 100, and there's even mastery for a lot of crafting. So you can hover over the stats in the PaperDoll to see them, like so. And if you hover over them, you should get a good idea of what they do. So I would recommend just hovering over them all. Strength is going to be for melee damage and some moderate health. Vitality is your main, gives you kind of the main maximum benefit of health. It's going to level that. It's going to give you more health total with a little bit of stamina. So let's go back over some of these other stats. So we've got dexterity. I call them stats, but they're attributes. These are technically the stats. So this attribute, dexterity, increases archery damage and may reduce the damage taken from area effects. We've got quickness, which is my personal favorite. Slightly increases melee and archery speed and may reduce the damage taken from such attacks. And grants a moderate bonus to maximum stamina. And also we have intelligence, which increases the power of spells and greatly affects maximum mana. So it gives you a lot more mana as your intelligence levels up and gets higher. And improves resistance against mental attacks. I believe that's like some debuffs and things like that. And wisdom grants a bonus to all crafting and harvesting skills. So basically, you'll get more durability on your crafted items, and it helps with your harvesting skills as well. So it also increases your maximum mana just moderately, not as much as intelligence, but still some. And grants a slight resistance to resistance bonus against curses. One thing I forgot to mention is you do have kind of a an indicator here that tells you what you're currently looking at. Here's a tree, but you can move this around as well. I tend to just tuck this away in the corner because I don't really need to know that this is a tree or anything like that, but you can keep that if you want to kind of identify what things are. You're going to click this blue button here. Now this is going to be your capital recall, which is a 2-hour cooldown, but this one's a lot shorter cooldown. And you just click it. You're going to get this really long cast bar. It's going to make a sound. And people can hear this from pretty far away, so you want to be sure you're in a safe spot to recall. And the mobs can cancel this recall, and they will just attack you and kill you as you're recalling, so be careful where you recall. And this will teleport you back to wherever you're binded. So I'm binded right here. It would be quicker to run back, but we're going to go ahead and see how this recall works. And then we'll go into a vendor and sell some gear. And we'll also go to the bank and check out our rewards from all these tasks we've completed. Alright, now we're back at Red Moon. where we're binded at. So got a few people outside. We're gonna run into the town, and on the mini map, it might be hard to see, but there's little orange dots. Those are gonna be the vendors, and you've got a little kind of a gold bar here that is the bank. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna look for a vendor because we want to sell some items that we don't really need or want, but they can make us some money. So we're gonna go ahead and run over here. You can sell at any of these vendors. You just use key and you go to sell. And then we're gonna bring up our loot bag, right? Because this is our backpack. We want all these items. Let's bring up our loot bag. So bring that up. So here you might actually have to bring up your PaperDoll. Doesn't look like our loot bag binding is going to work there. So we're going to go ahead and Alt. We're going to hold Alt and left click and drag. And that's going to pixel stack all of these into the sell box. So you're just going to drag all these items you don't want into here, and then you can click sell. Now you can also hold shift and drag. What that's going to do is going to stack these items in a row. It's going to do it by durability. So the highest dur is going to be down here at the bottom. It's got little durability bars for you. So you know maybe this high durability item, maybe we'll want to keep it. So maybe we'll put it there. Now, for the most part, I'm just going to either shift or alt drag these in. And we really don't need any of these. We actually want the money. And if you want to see what is like a better weapon than another, or anything about a weapon, if you hover over it, it's going to show you the weight, the durability, the weapon rank. Weapon ranks are usually, they start at 0, and then rank 10 is technically 0.10. So if you hear people talking about rank 10 or rank 20 or rank 30 or 40 or 50 and up, then really over the item it's 0.10, 0.20, 0.30, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind when people are talking about different ranks of weapons. And generally, for the most part, the higher rank, the better, the more damage. Now we are going to keep staffs, and the reason being is we're going to keep staffs because our staffs are going to break, right? The more you use it, this one's already getting low, and we need a non-starter staff to level up our spells, our greater and beyond spells. So any other spells that aren't in the lesser magic school, we need a non-starter staff. So we're going to keep those staffs. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in my backpack for now. And all the rest of this, I think we're going to keep. So I'm going to go ahead and click sell. We got like 220 gold there. Perfect. So we've been completing a lot of tasks, and we've been getting a lot of rewards for those tasks. So where are those rewards going? They're going into our bank. So we want to go check out our bank from time to time. And when we're done farming some mobs and we're full on loot, we want to come back and we want to we want to open up our loot bag here. And you could organize this. I started off with one bag. We got some material bags. And we could drag, maybe the rawhide and the cloth, because I consider that a material, a mat. And all this other stuff, we're just going to put it all in here for now. Just drag and drop. If you have multiple items, like let's say these staffs, you can hold shift and drag, and then all those staffs will go into your bag. So we got these things called Nectar of the Gods. It's an elixir, and all elixirs, they raise your attributes by a certain amount. We're going to pull this into our backpack because we needed it in our backpack to use it. And we're going to hover over it, and it gives us 5 to every attribute. And our attributes we went over a little bit. These are our attributes. It's going to give 5 of each of these. So we're going to go ahead and click this. As you can see, we gained 5 of every single attribute. And there's no reason to hang on to these because it only goes up to 75. So we're going to get more than enough of these to get to 75. And we want to increase our stats, our attributes, because our attributes increase our stats and they make us do more damage. And they give us more stamina and they give us more attack speed and things like that. So we want that. And we're just going to use them all. So you can see our stats and our attributes going up here as we use them. And now our stats went up and our attributes went up. So we're just going to keep chugging these. There's no reason to hang on to them. You could sell them or stuff like that. But we want our stats as high as possible. So we're going to use them all. So now we got way better stats. And this is going to make us do more damage. We've got lots more health and stamina and mana, which is great. And I want to quickly show you the rest of these melee abilities. They're not super important right now, but we'll quickly go over them. And you can put these on bindings if you would like. I think I'll go ahead and do so. So we've got this KnockBack GreatSword. It tells me that it's going to knock an opponent back. And then what it does is basically you do this melee attack, and it will basically knock them away from you. It actually kind of lifts them up into the air and back. So it's pretty cool ability. We're going to maybe we'll start a new row for the moment. We'll put that on Shift Q. So we click the gear and we set the bind, and that's good for now. I'll show you what it does. This is the attack animation. And then we also have a few other skills that we'll go over. We've got power attack. I do want power attack. And I believe I want power attack on Shift E. So we're going to go ahead and set up that binding. So we'll right click, gear, set bind to Shift E. Basically it's like a stab. And it causes bleed damage. So it's going to do damage and it's going to cause a bleed. So they're going to take damage over time as well. We also have Seize, an attack that draws your opponent closer. I typically don't use this much, but you can set this to a binding, whatever you prefer. It doesn't really matter right now. I'm going to just not use it at the moment. Now what it'll do is, it'll basically, if you're close enough, we can test it out now and see. If you're close enough, then basically it'll pull in a target to you. A lot of these spell schools actually require greater magic to be level 50. We're just going to level up greater and hope that we can quickly get to, I think it's 25 and 50 to unlock those schools. We're going to spam Rend a lot. It's really the only spell we have that's going to level up greater. We're just going to use that a lot, and we do want to do a little bit more melee. We also have power attack now, so we're going to hit the mob with power attack and level that up. So we've been using a starter sword this entire time, but we don't have to go in our bag or anything like that. We can just use our sword button, and now we have a two-handed sword. We have our new two-handed sword. So we didn't have to rebind or anything like that. Our weapon hotbar slot took care of that. And also there's dyes in this game. You might have noticed some of the stuff we're looting. It's called dye pigments, I believe. And you can actually dye your gear different colors. And we should be pretty close to unlocking Whirlwind. It starts to slow down, but there we go. We got Whirlwind. So we're going to go ahead and put this on our bar. We're going to stack it onto E. And now we're going to use Whirlwind. We're going to press E. It's going to do an AoE around us. You can see with the blood splatters that it hit both of them. So Whirlwind is an ability you're definitely going to want to level up. and pretty much use off cooldown. It can kind of be used when you're running away, or you can run up and cast it and kind of run away. It's going to hit them. It kind of leaves behind that AoE wherever you casted it. Now, there is fall damage in the game, but you cannot die to fall damage. You'll just get down to like 1 health and then continually be at 1 health. So keep that in mind. You don't have to worry about these large drop-offs. And also, the way damage works in this game is you can only take 90 damage from any one singular source of damage at a time. There's actually little loot drops, and this is a pile of bone. So, you know, thank you, devs. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, that's quite convenient. Now we got 100 bone. So that gave us probably 85, 90 bone or something like that. So that's huge for us. So now we definitely don't have to go back and anytime soon. So we're going to be able to cast a ton of rend on these mobs, and that's going to get our greater magic up. And we're going to really just focus on that. That's going to be the quickest way to get to the elemental spells. And then I'll show you the bolts. A lot of these magic spell schools, you're going to need to level up the very basic spell first, just so you can level up the school. So in this situation, that is exactly what we're going to do. So we've got WitchCraft, but this isn't the spell that we want to be using, that we really want, but we need to use it to level it up, the school. So we're going to put it here on our bar. We don't really need Eldritch Sphere anymore. We can get rid of that. And we're going to actually move it into the stack just so it looks a little nicer. And this is our Q. So we're just going to sit here and rotate these spells. Q and E. You can use whatever bindings you want still. And we're just going to go back and forth and cast these. You could also mix in some conversions. If they get close, you might want to use your Whirlwind and your melee damage abilities. And the shamans, any casters will usually drop reagents. And so a lot of the melee guys will drop armor and weapons. So you do have to be careful with AoE spells, because if you're casting them close like this, you can hit yourself as well as the mob. And that's what I just did there. So a lot of times when the mob gets into melee range, you want to go ahead and pull out your melee weapon as well. But we're going to back up here, let these guys de-aggro, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the elemental spell schools and see which spell school we might want to choose. Now, you can definitely do all of them, but I just want to take a gander at them and kind of figure out maybe what I want to level. Now, I'll recommend Fire. Fire is always a bit of the go-to. It has a lot of really good spells. There's a lot of spells in here that you're going to want to have, and it's overall a very solid choice. Now, that doesn't mean that the other spell schools are bad by any means. It's really preference, but you will use a lot of fire spells as well as other spells in every school. So you're going to need to level all of them. There's going to be spells in every school that you're going to need in the late game. So it doesn't really matter which one you pick. Just whichever one's coolest. I just go with that. So I do fire all the time. I rarely do earth. So, and I'm doing water on my other character. So I think we're going to do earth. I'm going to move needles to E, and I'm going to drag on a bolt. And what a bolt is, it's basically the first damaging spell that you get in every single elemental spell school. So in air you have ball lightning, in fire you have firebolt, and in water you have icicle. So that's basically what a bolt is. It's just a small projectile that travels wherever you shoot it, and it just travels and travels and travels just about as far as you can see. So it also will grow in size as you level it, and it'll do more damage as you level it. but it's a speedy spell that travels quickly. That's basically the basic of any spell school. So I'm going to choose Earth. It uses 2 resin, so I can hover over and see that. And so we don't have a ton of resin, but we can use that. And we've also got this acid arrow now. It's just this tiny little magic spell. And it will grow in size. But it's essentially the same thing as the other bolts. Because now that we have Witch's Brew, we're pretty set. We've got our other heal self. We're going to go ahead and slap this on our bar. We actually can't cast it yet because we're out of the reagent we need. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and go back anyways. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stack it on my heal self. Now you can put it on its own button, and that works pretty well as well. So you can do it however you want, but we want this on one of our easily hittable keys. We want to get used to it. And I'm actually going to stack it and put it as the first one. It casts quicker, and that's what we want for our first heal whenever we go to heal. And you can get reagents at an Arcanist or a Mage. So you just find one of those in the city you're in. You can zoom in on the minimap to find them. There'll be a orange dot. And you go to the Reagents tab. They're all 4 gold apiece. So you want to be sure that you at least have a little bit of money in your stash. And we need some of this one. So we're going to go ahead and get, I don't know, maybe 40. All right. And then we're going to buy that, and it's in our bag. So it's somewhere in here, but we know we have 40 from our item slot. I just want to quickly show you Witch's Brew. This is Witch's Brew. Look at AoE heal around yourself like that. This has been a DarkFall Rise of Agon tutorial for you. I tried to go through everything I could think of that you might need to know starting in the game, and hopefully this has helped you out. I'll leave a link to my referral code in the description, and hit the like or subscribe button if you found this video useful, and I appreciate the support.